Alright, guys, so I've been wanting to do another one of these for a while, mainly because I like doing these kinds of videos where I just kind of, go through my collection and talk about just kind of the collection, pretty much. Um, I haven't done one of these in about 2 years. A lot has changed since then. I no longer store my non-horror movies in this room. I store them in another room in the house. Um, and yeah, so I guess I'll start with the biggest change, which is this shelf. This is the shelf that I keep mainly my non-horror Blu-rays that I kind of want to keep in the same room. I keep those here, as you can see. Planet of the Apes, El Topo, The Holy Mountain, Seven Samurai, Yojimbo, Star Wars, and Evangelion. Just a bunch of random shit. Quite a few bootlegs in there. But yeah, you got like the entire James Bell filmography because I'm keeping those on the shelf as well as some extra stuff. Some of these aren't even horror movies or anything like that. Like there's the first season of Home Movies. There's my There's my box set of Oshima and Nagisa films. Here we have my. This is the side of the shelf that's mainly for my expensive releases and box sets. Obviously the Hirsch Gordon Lewis Feast set. This is an absolutely massive set, like $150 set, but it is very much worth the money. We also got the Hemisphere box of horrors from Severn Films, which this is a very quality release, as well as their release of Combat Shock with a slipcover protector on it, and the release of Flesh Pot on 42nd Street from Vinegar Syndrome, which is a very good movie. That one is not out of print yet, but it's limited to 3,000, so I want to keep it in good condition. Possession, which isn't limited as far as I know, but it's an expensive one, so I want to keep it up there. We got the American Horror Project sets, Last of Us on the Left, the Female Personal Scorpion box set. Pretty much all my Arrow video box sets go on this shelf, or any of my Arrow video sets that aren't just standalone case releases. Going down and starting off this kind of big, oh god, clusterfuck of a collection is pretty much just exploitation kind of subgenres. We're starting with like cannibal films, which these are some bootlegs of cannibal films that are actually back in print, so I need to get copies of these two. So those two are just by the wayside, but still, Bone Tomahawk, Ferox, Cannibal Holocaust. I got 2 copies of Cannibal Holocaust. I have the Blu-ray, and then I have this, I think it's Thai DVD of it. Devil Hunter, yeah. Eaten Alive from Severn, this is a very good release. Green Inferno, that movie is kind of garbage. And then this is kind of exploitive crime, vigilante-ish films. So you have like Drive, The Boondock Saints, Hot Fuzz, Hobo with a Shotgun. Rutger Hauer actually recently died. Rest in peace. He was fantastic in this movie. He was also great in Blade Runner, of course. Got both of the Ichi the Killer films, which both of these movies are pretty quality, as well as the Ichi the Killer anime, the 1-episode OVA that's got dust on it, which isn't very good. We got a Massacre, no, it's not Massacre Mafia Style. Why is Gone with the Pope here, but Massacre Mafia Style is, Gone with the Pope. This is, interesting, not necessarily good. Robot Ninja, signed by the director. This is a very good, entertaining, violent vigilante film. Scarface, Shinjuku Triad Society, The Warriors, which they really need to release the original cut of The Warriors on home media. I mean, I know the original cut was available for a very long time, and this new director's cut isn't awful, but the new animated segments they put in and everything just really kind of slow the film down into kind of post-apocalyptic stuff. We have Dead End Drive-In, which this is a pretty good exploitation film. Honky Holocaust. This is one I could talk about for hours. Is Honky Holocaust. This is an amazing exploitation film. The head of Troma, which obviously this is distributed by Troma. The head of Troma, Lloyd Kaufman, when he first saw this movie, he said it was the greatest exploitation film, or not the greatest exploitation film, but the greatest movie he had seen in 40 years. And I've got to say, it's definitely a pretty great exploitation film. You know, Repo, the Genetic Opera. You can't be a weirdo horror fan and not have a copy of Repo. Teenage Caveman, directed by Larry Clark. I still have not watched this, mainly because I'm very lazy. We got another exploitation film here, Turkey Shoot. This is a very great, kind of dystopian, late stages of capitalism kind of film. Very, very good stuff. Very violent and ridiculous. Then we got, you know, teen-sploitation films, A Clockwork Orange, Battle Royale, Class of 1984, Them. Up here we got Massacre Mafia Style, which this is the kind of, you know, sister film to Gone with the Pope, except this is way better than Gone with the Pope. We also got the Herschel Gordon Lewis sexploitation films, just sitting right there. Speaking of sexploitation, that is where we are now. Yeah, Bloodsucking Freaks, All Night. Oh God, this is the one I'm gonna cover when I hit 1,500 subs. I'm gonna cover this entire set. All Night at the Pono. This is a 12, you know, porno, 70s porno set. Very similar to the other set, which is All Night at the Bizarre Art Theater, except that one, they were mostly horror and kind of occult themed. These are mostly just regular 70s porn, but 70s porn in general is hard to watch. Eat the Schoolgirl. This is a bootleg of a Japanese JV exploitation film. It's a pretty gruesome one. I talked about that on my channel before. Bootleg of Faster Pussycat Kill Kill. This is probably one of the greatest movies ever made, honestly. This is an amazing piece of cinema. In complete seriousness, this is a movie that should be taught in film school, because it is honestly really fucking great. And it's crazy to me that the Blu-ray release of it is like beyond out of print. Right next to it, we also got the Guinea Pig collection of all the Guinea Pig movies, which I also have a copy of Flower of Flesh and Blood, an original copy of it, not a bootleg, sitting around here. Obviously, we can't have sexploitation without movies like Gestapo's Last Orgy and the Alsa films. Those are all good. A bootleg of Regurgitated Sacrifice from Lucifer Valentine. Rewatched that one recently for the first time since high school, and Jesus Christ, is that movie fucking horrific. Speaking of horrific, we got a Serbian film in The Sinful Dwarf and Salo. We got Sweet Movie. This is one of my favorite art house, one of my favorite weird art house 70s flicks. It's a weird anthology comedy drama film that is very bizarre. I don't know how to describe it, but it is quite a film. Let's see, The Saddest of Notre Dame, Snuff 102, you know, nothing too amazing there. Life and Death of a Porno Gang, which I recently rewatched, and that is also pretty rough. Couple Massacre releases, Tumbling Doll Flesh, My Red Guts. Let's see. Okay, yeah, and the last of the sexploitation is Violence in Women's Prison. Then you got blaxploitation films, Coonskin, Blackula, Blackenstein, Death by Temptation from Vinegar Syndrome. Very, very good movie, very good release. All of the Dolomite movies, Obviously, these two, Tales from the Quaddead Zone, Black Devil Doll from Hell, Dr. Black and Mr. Hyde, which is quite the film. Gross out horror, basically kind of weird gross out comedies. Um, Obviously, the works of John Waters go in here, as well as movies like The Greasy Strangler. Next, we have shockumentaries. Earthlings, bum fights, Orozco the Embalmer, junk films. Orozco and junk films, I think, are out of print now, but those are going to go back in print eventually. There's going to be new releases. Titicut Follies is one that has never been released publicly on like home media, which I think that should get like a Criterion release. In all honesty, it's an amazing movie. Onto revenge films, Daughter of Darkness, which is a good Category 3 Hong Kong film. The Crow, Adam Chaplin. I have not watched Adam Chaplin. I'm trying not to make things fall down. Jeez, god damn it, things are gonna fall. I have not watched Adam Chaplin in many years, but I remember that being a very, very fun, violent movie. What do we got up here? I know these are like just random ass movies. Oh yeah, Snutfit. Yeah, these are other just random titles. Oh yeah, my bootleg of Meet the Feebles. That needs a Blu-ray release. This movie, a film about the Marquis de Sade, told with animal puppets. This is a very weird one. Let's see. Oh, Wizards. I don't know, why the fuck do I have Wizards there? Gunwoman, Hidden in the Woods, Hardcore Henry. Basically your usual stuff. The 4-hour long, let me get around here. 4-hour long, whole bloody affair cut of Kill Bill, which is very, very good. Lady Snowblood, Mandy, Martyrs, the Vengeance Trilogy, which I don't have the first entry in, which sucks. Going down, we also got Red to Kill, Riki-Oh, Savage Vengeance, Shogun Assassin, Thriller, Cruel Picture. This is one that is pretty fucked. And this is like the, yeah, this is the completely uncut version of it too. The Underground Banker, Vulgar. This is a movie that not a lot of people know about. It is a movie that is canon to what is it? It's canon to a few Kevin Smith films. It's canon to Clerks. Clerks and like the Jay and Silent Bob movies, but it is a disturbing, violent drama film about a clown who is gang raped and he gets revenge. This is considered a dark comedy. I got this at a closed down video store. A video store has gone out of business, that is. Let's see, on to the zombie films. Nothing too amazing right here. I mean, we have a bootleg of the uncut version of Brain Dead, which I've actually watched the uncut version since then, and it's pretty good. I'd like to see a fully restored version of it. The Blood Island movies. This is one that is in a case because it's sold. This version of it sold out pretty quickly. It is the slipcover edition of The Children. I was so happy when that was announced. Bootleg of The Cemetery Man, because that's out of print. Dead and Breakfast, Dead Girl, Cannibal Hookers. Nothing too amazing here. Going down, we got like The Dead Hate the Living, Dead Riot, Dead Sushi. This is a pretty fun Japanese film about zombie sushi. Yeah. Let's see, we got Demons, we got Demon Wind, again, slipcover case. We got Dr. Butcher, which is amazing. I love that movie. All the Evil Dead movies, the remake, the short film prequel Within the Woods, as well as the musical This is a bootleg I made. And let me just fucking sit down. We got the Evil Dead DVD from Anchor Bay. This is the first release of Evil Dead I ever had. And then, I got the, Steelbook Blu-ray, and, Evil Dead 2 was kind of the same thing. Army of Darkness, I have the most copies of any movie. I have this fan cut of Army of Darkness, which is like all the cuts combined. And then we have the, definitive Scream Factory release. Then we have this, which is like one of the oldest movies in my collection. This is one of the oldest releases not oldest releases, but this is one of the movies that's been in my collection the longest. I've had this since I was like 11. Or about 9, or I think it was like fucking 9 actually. Like 9 or 10 when I first saw Army of Darkness. But yeah, this is my copy of Army of Darkness that I've had since the beginning of time. And I also got like the official bootleg edition, the pop art edition. Got Ash vs. Evil Dead. I got the Fiend from Massacre. This is a very great, underrated little zombie flick. Flesh Eater, Bill Hinsman's Flesh Eater. This is a really fun 80s splatter film. Should get a Blu-ray release. I know it has a Blu-ray release, but I want a new, really nice Blu-ray release. We got Gore Horror, which I need to rewatch because last time I watched this, I didn't care for it. I'm sure if I rewatched it, I'd probably care for it a bit more, but, I remember that being pretty crazy for the most part. Here's another one that's an old release that I've had that's been in my collection for a very long time. This old release of I Drink Your Blood. Speaking of I Drink Your Blood, here we have the nice Blu-ray from Grindhouse Releasing that is autographed by one of the stars who I met at a convention. It says, "To Cody, stay away from the meat pies." She was very nice. Nothing else too crazy here, like the limited edition 30th anniversary edition of Night of the Living Dead, which has like 15 minutes of new footage. That's, limited. You have these copies of, Night of the Living Dead. Like, this one is sealed because this was like a horror pack or horror block exclusive that has an exclusive documentary that's only on this version, so it is still sealed because, let's be honest, this is just the unrestored version. Nobody cares. Now, the Criterion release of Night of the Living Dead this is the best version. You could probably get your hands on. Speaking of best releases, we got Dawn of the Dead here, signed by Tom Savini. This is the Ultimate Edition with all the different cuts. I met Tom Savini at a convention. He's actually an asshole. If you ever get the chance to meet him, I would actually not recommend meeting him. He's a bit of a dickhead. But on top of that, we got the old DVD of Dawn of the Dead, which is another one that's been in my collection for many, many years. This is out of print as well. But this is how I originally saw Dawn of the Dead. And then we got the, European cut of Dawn of the Dead. We also got the DVD of Day of the Dead from Scream Factory, which I really need to upgrade to the Blu-ray of this, because, I mainly bought the DVD because I was like, yeah, I won't ever need the Blu-ray, and now I'm just like, I kind of want to get the Blu-ray. Here's the rest of the Living Dead series. Perkins 14 is pretty interesting. Prometheus, The Fallen Angel, is a good shot-on-video zombie film. Here we have Raw Force with the slipcover. This is the slipcover that was only offered during the Halfway to Black Friday sale for Vinegar Syndrome, which Raw Force is a pretty amazing little flick. It's very entertaining. Reanimator. I'm surprised I don't have a Blu-ray of this yet. I've had this DVD for many, many years, but I do not own this on Blu-ray. I've been meaning to upgrade to the era of Blu-ray, but I'm very lazy. Night of the Living Dead, or Return of the Living Dead. This is one of my favorite zombie movies of all time, honestly. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a very fun movie. What's this? Oh, Redneck Zombies. Okay, of course. Yeah, let me... let's see. We have this 4-film set, which I'm pretty sure the main reason I bought this 4-film set, it's like 4 discs, is because it has Pontypool, which is a pretty good zombie flick. It's like unconventional zombie flick. Yes, that is has a drawing of an uncircumcised penis. That's one that one of my friends did when we were in high school. Yeah, Pontypool, and it has I Sell the Dead and Doghouse in it, and those are all pretty good. Zombie Honeymoon, you know, Zombie Babies. This old DVD of Lucio Fulci's Zombie from like this is an old fucking Anchor Bay release. I really need to upgrade to a new Blu-ray, but I'm very, very lazy about it, especially since Lucio Fulci's Zombie, it's a good movie for what it is, but I really don't care about it too much. So I'm like, yeah, I'll upgrade to the Blu-ray eventually, but when I do, I'm probably never gonna watch it. But yeah, into the slasher films, we got like Alice Sweet Alice, Annibalizer, Absurd, Anthropopagus, Absurd 2000, Acid Bath. Oh, I think I have these. Yeah, no, I just went through these the wrong way. Either way, here's the rest of the zombie flicks. Train to Busan, Uncle Sam, When Good Ghouls Go Bad, the Blind Dead movies, which most of those are good. Into the slasher films, and again, you got like Axe, which this isn't even really a slasher film. Axe is like a psychological horror film. Very great, overlooked 70s exploitation film, Axe. Kidnapped Co-Ed's okay. I got the August Underground movies because, you know, I hate myself. The Belko Experiment from a few years ago. This was a pretty entertaining little movie. Babysitter Massacre, directed by Hendrik Kuto. Dayton-based filmmaker. Very, very cool guy. Can't wait for the sequels he's working on for that series. To turn it into a series, that is. Oh yeah, Black Christmas. One of my favorite movies of all time. This is a movie I watch every year. God damn it. Okay, come on. The remake of Black Christmas, The Boogeyman, you know, Blood Feast 2, Bloody Birthday. We got the Blood Trilogy, as well as The Wizard of Gore and the Gore Girls. We got Bloody Moon, Jess Franco film. This is whoa. Bloody Moon, very entertaining. Probably the best Jess Franco film out there. It's very violent, very sleazy, very gross. Bloody Pit of Horror is pretty good from what I remember. Blue Sunshine. This is a pretty overlooked little flick, in my opinion. You know, there's some titles here. The Corpse Grinders is one I will always stand by. I really love the Corpse Grinders. And then there's the Hong Kong Giallo-inspired film Corpse Mania, which is also pretty interesting. We got a Cutting Glass with the limited slipcover. Deadly Blessing, which this is, if you can see there's like a signature. Yeah, right there. It says Matthew Barr, who is the screenwriter of this film. My friend Andrew. Actually, Matthew Barr was his screenwriting professor in college, and my friend Andrew got this signed for me and sent it to me, which is very, very cool. Deadly Blessing, very underrated little early Wes Craven movie. Dr. Lamb, again a bootleg. Dr. Gore, Another bootleg. This is pretty bad. We got like Dark Harvest, Dreamstalker. Disconnected. This movie is really bizarre, kind of psychological horror, disjointed slasher film. Drive Through. I rewatched that recently. That's actually a pretty fun movie. It holds up pretty well. Evil Ed is one that I really like. Going down, we got the immensely sleazy Phantom Killer, which I've heard that Massacre has the rights to all the sequels, which there are like 3 or 4 sequels to this movie. And they're gonna release all of them. These are like weird, ultra sleazy, misogynistic slasher flicks. All the Friday the 13th movies. Don't really gotta go over those. Frontiers, Green Room, Gutterballs, Hack-O-Lantern, very fun. All the Halloween movies, even the remakes, Headless, very fun stuff. Hatchet, Jack the Ripper, Fear of Clowns. We got the remake of The Hills Have Eyes, directed by Alexandre Aja, or Aja, very good. And we got the other Alexandre Aja film in my collection, High Tension. Ooh, yikes. Horror House on Highway 5, which I'm pretty sure... Yeah, this is, this release is limited to 3,000. This is almost... It's getting close to being out of print. This is a very entertaining, bizarre as hell 80s kind of homemade slasher. The Ice Cream Man from Vinegar Syndrome. That's a fun little 90s cheese fest. Invasion of the Blood Farmers. It's bad. Maniac, the Blu-ray. This isn't the 4K restoration of it, which kind of sucks because the 4K restoration looks really nice. But this is still a good enough release of Maniac for me, honestly. Maniac is one of my favorites. The remake of My Bloody Valentine. We got My Bloody Valentine, which is covered in signatures from the cast and crew and director. They were all very, very cool. This is like my prized possession, because My Bloody Valentine is my favorite slasher film, and I have this copy of it covered in signatures from the director, cast, even the guy who was Harry Warden, the miner. They were all very, very cool, very nice. I heard Scream Factory actually got the rights to My Bloody Valentine. They're going to do a Blu-ray release, which is very good, because it deserves a nice Blu-ray release. Microwave Massacre. That one's pretty fun. We got the Nostril Picker. This is, yeah, that's a movie that exists and I own for some reason. It's actually pretty fun. Nutbag, Phenomena, Psychic Killer, P2, Psychos in Love. This is directed by the same guy who directed Disconnected. This is very fun, kind of dark comedy, horror film. Very much enjoy it. We also got, we also got People Under the Stairs, which this is a movie I've always had a very big love for. Let's see. Oh yeah, we got Psycho Cop Returns from Vinegar, which is in the slipcover protector, because this is limited to, I think, 1,666 copies. Yep. We got Popcorn. Love Popcorn. We got the Rest Stop movies. Also love these, unironically. Sledgehammer, Slumber Party Massacre, Silent Night, Bloody Night, Splatter Farm. Very good Polonia Brother flick. Splatter University, Smash Cut, Summer of '84. This is a good one from last year. This is one of those print-on-demand discs. Look at that fucking cheap shit. Terror Train. Haven't watched this one in a couple years. I remember I bought this one originally just because it was going out of print. And I was like, yeah, I gotta grab that before it goes out of print. And I also wanted to see it. Very good slasher flick. Got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. It says something about you as a horror fan when the only Texas Chainsaw Massacre film you own on Blu-ray is The Next Generation, the really bad fourth one. But yeah, this is the only one I own on Blu-ray. The rest of them are on DVD. Which I plan on at least upgrading the second one to Blu-ray eventually. Man, I really should fucking dust more often. You know, Leatherface, Terror. This is a good kind of British giallo. Tourist Trap. It's a very good one. We got The Untold Story, which is... I don't even think that has ever had a U.S. release. Also, we got the sister film to it up here, Ebola Syndrome, which that release of it is very out of print. Urban Legend, The Undertaker, Violence the Movie, Violent Shit, Valentine, Wacko, Weirdo, Who Can Kill a Child, which still is really bad cover art for a great movie. You know, psychological horror. You got stuff like Angst, you know, American Psycho, Antichrist, Audition, Bad Boy Bubby, Beyond the Darkness. We also got a bootleg here of a Japanese film from the 60s called Blind Beast. This is, yeah, Blind Beast. This is a movie about a blind sculptor who, with the help of his mother, kidnaps a woman in order to use her as, like, inspiration for his new sculpture. It's very, very weird and interesting. I think I'm gonna have to cut it here and come right back. Okay, finally. Back again. I had to stop, you know, and get something to drink. Alright. I'm back at it again. Combat Shock. I already talked about that, but this is the old Troma release. And compared to the Severin Films release, which is limited to 3,000, out of print as hell, and you cannot get your hands on it, this release is fucking garbage. We got fucking Coldfish, directed by Shion Sono. This is one of the most depressing movies I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Like, it's pretty fucking up there. This movie runs for, like... I'm trying to find here. Near fucking 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. And this is depressing as shit, and it's also very violent and horrific. Creep, Diabolique. This is one of my favorite movies. It's a French film from the 50s. You know, I have very weird kind of tastes, because, like, you know, on one hand, one of my favorite movies of all time is, you know, Evil Dead, this violent splatter film, as well as, you know, the sequel, which is a goofy fucking comedy, you know, but at the same time, this 50s 2-hour-long mystery horror film, Diabolique, is also one of my favorites. This movie's from like 1955. It's slow paced. It's pretty creepy. My only problem I have with it is that it has no actual like soundtrack. So during the creepy moments, you know, during creepy unsettling moments, it's just quiet, which doesn't really help set the mood too much. We got Flowers. This is a recent edition. Kind of mad about this packaging though, because it kind of, you know, ooh, yikes, kind of did that like as soon as I fucking opened it, which really upsets me because this is a very nice release. You know, it should have come with some kind of slip box. Not to call out not to call out Unearthed Films, this is still a pretty good release, considering it was only like $17 and it's limited, it comes with the soundtrack. But yeah, Flowers. Covered this one on my channel. This movie is really, really, really fucking crazy. Gummo. I've been meaning to rewatch Gummo for quite a while. I'm surprised it does not have a Blu-ray release yet, but, you know, it doesn't. But yeah, Gummo. Very, very fun, entertaining. Well, not necessarily fun, but interesting, entertaining, depressing, dark comedy from Harmony Korine. House on Straw Hill. Here we go. In the Realm of the Senses, another one of my favorites. This one I need to upgrade to the Blu-ray, but this is a movie by Japanese director Oshima Nagisa. This is a very, I've put this on my list of most disturbing movies multiple times. I think that should say something about it. Speaking of disturbing movies, we have I Stand Alone from Gaspar Noé. We got The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which is also great. We got a bootleg of Let's Scare Jessica to Death, which, ironically enough, they just announced a Blu-ray release of this right after I buy this bootleg. So, you know, that's kind of pointless. Nurse Jill. This is one of my favorites from a few years ago. Very, very creepy, kind of silent, modern silent film. Perfect Blue. Here's another one where it's a case of, yeah, I'll buy a bootleg of the Blu-ray because it's not going to be available in the U.S. like ever. And then the Blu-ray, U.S. Blu-ray just got released. Although, from what I've heard, the U.S. Blu-ray release is already like out of print. So, or there's something going on with it. Repulsion. Roman Polanski's second film. First of all, fuck Roman Polanski. He's a piece of shit. Second of all, this is a very good movie. Santa Sangre, or Santa Sangre, whatever, however you want to pronounce it. This is probably my favorite Jodorowsky film. I've watched this one so many times. It's very, very good stuff. Very creepy. Interesting, surreal. We got the Sex, Murder, Art collection, which consists of Necromantic, Dare to Death King, Necromantic 2, and Shram, Into the Mind of a Serial Killer. All of these are very good movies. Well, with the exclusion of Necromantic 2, honestly. But the first Necromantic is really, honestly, kind of an amazing movie in its own right. Here we have Suicide Club. This is out of print, I'm pretty sure, which kind of sucks, because this movie's great. Also, there's no Blu-ray release of this anywhere, and from what I've heard, Shion Sono does not care about restoring his movies, so this probably will never get a Blu-ray release, which really sucks, because this movie is really great. It just, you know, the DVD quality is okay. It's not, like, necessarily good, but it's good enough, I guess. You know, I wish we had a Blu-ray release. Threads, Visitor Q, that's one that's out of print. We got Witches and Cult films. God, it's so fucking dusty. Belladonna of Sadness, one of my favorite animated movies. In all honesty, god damn it. In all honesty, very, very beautiful, beautiful piece of cinema. Yeah, Blair Witch. We got Ken Russell's The Devils. This is a bootleg. Got The Devil's Reign. You know, Manos. Unironically, one of my favorite movies of all time, Manos: The Hands of Fate. It's awful. It really is. This is one of the worst movies ever made, but it's kind of amazing. Also, I met one of the stars. One of the only living stars, that is. Satan's Slave, limited Blu-ray release. The limited slipcover protector on it. You know, we got Suspiria and the remake of Suspiria, and those are cool. But we got The Witch. I don't know, I can't tell you how many times I've watched this movie. It's very high, I'll tell you that much. Very excited for The Lighthouse, though. That's coming out this year, hopefully this year. I know it came out at the Cannes Film Festival. You know, nothing too crazy down here. We got Blown. This is a film about a murderous blow-up doll. Got the Coffin Joe movies. We got Black Past, one of my favorite horror films of all time. It's a very weird German shot-on-video gore film. God damn it, no. Clown. You know, Kathy's Curse. Yeah, there it is. Kathy's Curse. This movie is a fucking trip. Trying to, because I don't want to, dwell on all these insignificant titles, but at the same time, I feel like I'm skipping over some interesting stuff. Yeah, here we go. This is an interesting movie. It's a Japanese horror film called Jigoku, which translated to English means Hell. I think an alternate title for the film is Sinners of Hell. This is a interesting Criterion release. I don't think this has actually been released on Blu-ray under Criterion, but this is a really interesting movie because the first hour of it is mostly kind of boring and forgettable, and then you get to the last act of the film, and the last act of the film is set in hell, and it is violent and crazy and beautifully shot and colorful and wild as all hell. The film suddenly turns into a Mario Bava film, pretty much. So very, very, very good stuff. We also got The Keep. This is a bootleg, which I watched The Keep recently. This is, yeah, I can see why Michael Mann doesn't want that to be released now. Nurse Sherry. This is a pretty entertaining kind of Exorcist ripoff movie. Al Adamson is a very interesting director. I'm looking forward to that documentary that is coming out this year about him. Also, something I actually completely went up past is this 4-movie set. It's got Altered States on it, which is pretty much the main reason you'd want to get this, because Altered States is amazing, but it also has William Peter Blatty's The Ninth Configuration, which for some reason there's no singular DVD release of in the U.S., at least as far as I can remember. The Ninth Configuration was a movie that William Peter Blatty made before he directed The Exorcist 3. For those of you who don't know who this guy is, he wrote the original novel that The Exorcist is based on. He also wrote the screenplay for the film adaptation of The Exorcist, and he wrote and directed Exorcist 3, which is, considered by a lot of people to be a very good movie, and definitely the redeemer of the Exorcist series. This movie, The Ninth Configuration, is a weird mix of comedy and drama and horror and psychological thriller, having to do with this psychiatric hospital in the middle of in an old castle that's exclusively full of people who were in wars, and it is a film about loss and kind of war and sacrifice and human suffering and whether or not true human kindness can exist. It's a very sad and interesting film, considering kind of what the film is labeled as. 'Cause it's often labeled as a horror film, but it's not really a horror film. But at the same time, it's pretty dark in tone, and there are some pretty weird scenes. There's also a scene where this guy is trying to perform an exorcism on a vending machine. Yeah, it gets bizarre. Up here behind my flask, we got the Omen, the refrigerator. Nothing too interesting here. Here we go. Fucking Bloody New Year. I love this movie. Norman J. Warren film. Same guy that directed Satan's Slave. This one's limited from Vinegar Syndrome, so I had to put the slipcover protector on it. Now here we got Bones. I actually recently watched that documentary, Horror Noir. It's a documentary about the history of black horror films, and this film was mentioned in it. And Bones is actually a pretty cool movie. Like all jokes aside, it's a bit cheesy. It hasn't aged very well, but it is actually a pretty damn good horror film once you really look at it. Crimson Peak, The Changeling. This movie is fucking horrifying. God, I'm really fucking like breaking my neck here. Don't Look Now. Empire of Passion. This was Oshii Minagisa's follow-up to In the Realm of the Senses. This one is definitely more of a horror film. It's kind of a ghost story about a woman, and she murders her husband with the help of the guy she's having an affair with, and he starts to haunt them. It's very good stuff. I'll just fucking leave that there. We got Hausu, very good Japanese horror film from the 70s. We got The Haunting. This is one of the creepiest movies ever made. It's a very great 60s haunted house film. The House movies, of course. A bootleg of House 4, because that still has yet to be released in the US. I think it's been released on DVD, but it's out of print. Mainly, this is a lot of the stuff here is bulk. I mean, of course, there's good stuff interspersed in here, like Ju-on, Oculus. Oculus is actually pretty solid. The Orphanage, that one's honestly fucking amazing. One Missed Call, in between all the garbage, you got some good titles like Poltergeist, Ringu. The Sentinel. This is a very, very overlooked. I actually rewatched this a few days ago. Still absolutely fucking nightmarish. This is a really great overlooked late 70s horror film. It's weird that this movie has kind of been forgotten, because it is pretty fucking creepy. I know that American Werewolf in London recently got announced as a release from Arrow Video, but I'm just gonna stick with this Blu-ray release of it, because don't get me wrong, American Werewolf in London is a good movie. It's actually a pretty great movie, but it's I already own it, and I'm not too crazy about special features usually. Now we're getting into out of haunted house movies and into kind of monster movies, vampire films, The Blood Splattered Bride. We got I think it's Brain Damage? Yeah, Brain Damage from Frank Henenlotter. Daybreakers. We got The Descent, Dick Shark, Dracula, Dead and Loving It. Elves. Elves is fucking hilarious. Flesh for Frankenstein. This is one of my favorite adaptations. This is like my favorite adaptation of Frankenstein. Which I have this on VHS too. But this is a very, very entertaining little, kind of sexploitation horror film. Very weird, very gross, very bizarre. I also got some Godzilla flicks in there. Gremlins, The Howling, that one's pretty good. It's Alive, The Host, Bong Joon-ho's The Host. I'm looking forward to his new movie. What is it? Parasite, I believe, that came out at Cannes. I hope that gets a release in the US soon. Like Let the Right One In is classic. Same with The Lost Boys, and here we got some classic Milligan with Monstrosity. His take on like a Frankenstein and or Gollum kind of horror film. Very, very bad, but very entertaining. I'm happy that has a Blu-ray release. We got Things. I don't know how many times I don't know how many times I've talked about Things on my channel. Nor do I know how many times I've watched this movie, but I've watched this movie a ton of times, and god damn, this movie never gets old for me. It is so fucking horrifically, amazingly awful. And right next to things, we have something that's actually good. It's, what is it? I think it's Park Chan-wook. His vampire film Thirst, which is very, very great. I really love this movie. Very good stuff. He also directed Old Boy. But yeah, the Thirst, it's good. We got the Tremors movies. Nothing crazy there. Bootleg of Under Wraps. We got what was that? Little Otik. That's a bootleg of Little Otik. Way down there. Little Otik's a really great fantasy horror film that doesn't have a U.S. Blu-ray release for some reason, or a U.S. I don't even think it has a Blu-ray release in general. But it should. Let's see. Silent Hill, Reality Bleed Through, Where the Dead Go to Die, Nosferatu, A Cure for Wellness, The Thingy. I think that's Phantasm, Phantom of the Paradise, Nightbreed, Lord of Illusions. What's the one right here? Oh, yeah, I want to pull this out because this is actually a pretty cool movie, too. Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. I believe this is let me just look here. Czechoslovakian kind of fantasy horror film from the 70s. That's inspired by a combination of Alice in Wonderland and I think a couple other famous kind of old stories and fairy tales. It's a very visually interesting, very colorful, very nice. The visual style is something that I could compare to folk horror films, stuff like Midsommar and The Wicker Man, and stuff like that. I could compare it to kind of summery horror films like that. Onto this stack. Again, nothing too amazing in here. We got a bootleg of Rawhead Rex I need to upgrade, Critters, Deadly Spawn. Both Decoys movies for some reason. I don't know why I own both of those. Ghosts of Mars. This is actually, I honestly actually really like this movie. This is a good John Carpenter movie. It's a movie directed by John Carpenter about Ice Cube with, I think, Pam Grier. Let me double check here. Yeah, fucking Pam Grier on Mars fighting zombie Martians. That's so fucking amazingly awful. Little Killer Clones from Outer Space I need to upgrade. Same with Little Shop and Mars Attacks. Mutilations, this is out of print for Massacre. Very fun, kind of alien-centric shot-on-video flick. The Stepford Wives. I don't know how many. I've owned that for a few years. Still haven't watched it. They Live. I need to get a Blu-ray copy of that one. The Birds, of course. Lucio Fulci's Black Cat. Need to upgrade to the Blu-ray. This is a very good, kind of overlooked Lucio Fulci movie, having to do with a guy who who through using telepathy, uses his cat to get revenge on people and kill them. It's actually pretty well set up. And now onto the final shelf. The Blu-rays don't fit on that shelf, on this tall stack shelf, so the Blu-rays that fall into that subgenre that might be on there have to go up here. So, hence why we have The Shape of Water, Resolution, Waxwork. We got all the Alien movies, even the Alien quadrilogy, mainly because I wanted to get Alien 3, because Alien 3 is pretty good. Also because I needed to replace my copy of Alien. But still, you know, we got Aliens, which is nice. We got Annihilation, which that was one of my favorites from last year. You know, I should probably move this box of cereal and this fucking Pokemon Gengar plush out of the way if I don't want to knock these things down. Especially this box of cereal. This is new. Brain Dead. Got Bad Taste, which this is one of my favorite movies of all time. To be completely honest, it's very fun. Right next to it, we have another movie that's one of my favorites. Is Brain Scan. Really happy this got a Blu-ray release finally. Kind of sucks that we didn't get you know, any nice new cover art out of it or a slipcover, but you know, take it or leave it. Evils of the Night, interesting stuff. The Horror of Party Beach. This is a very, very fun monster movie from the 60s. Speaking of good I'm just going to go through like most of the ones that are right here. Speaking of good monster movies from the 60s, we have Matango, Attack of the Mushroom People. This is from the director of the original Godzilla. This is a very cool movie about mushroom people. It's very creepy. God fucking damn it. Doing this one-handed is a pain in the ass. Night Beast. The limited Blu-ray. This Blu-ray itself was actually limited. It's out of print now. The Prey, you know. Shocking Dark with the Terminator 2 slipcover. The Suckling with the slipcover. We got, you know, Stranger Things, the VHS box kind of release. You know, Scanners Without Warning, Piranha, Wild Beasts. This movie is fucking, well, wild is the word for it. Into body horror, you know, Akira, one of my favorite movies. Again, we got, you know, a couple other titles, but Body Melt, the slipcover edition, which very cool that has a nice release. Eraserhead, rewatched that just the other day, still horrifying. Frankenhooker, probably my favorite Frank Henenlotter film. You know, this is a Shion Sono film, X-Day Hair Extensions, a movie about murderous hair extensions, and it is pretty fucking gruesome, to be honest. Got all the Hellraiser movies, you know, Human Centipede, we got Naked Lunch. I don't want to have to say it again, but another one of my favorites. The David Cronenberg adaptation of Naked Lunch. I also really love the novel of Naked Lunch. Spontaneous Combustion. This is a Tobe Hooper film. The guy who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre directed this. And it's a weird body horror film starring the voice of Chucky from Child's Play. Street Trash, The Stuff, another couple other movies that I really like. The Thing. Really, if you don't like The Thing, you know, there's something wrong with you, in my opinion. Like, this movie is damn near perfect. We also got Videodrome right next to it. And Videodrome's a really good Cronenberg. You know, The Worm Eaters, this one's fucking weird. Killer Toy movies, I don't really want to go into that too much. Need to replace this set of the Child's Play sequels, because these copies of it are really, really fucked up and scratched up to hell and back. I really need to replace it. So that way I can actually, you know, watch the sequels if I ever want to actually watch them. We're in the home stretch. Anthology horror. We got like The Basement. This is another Olaf Ittenbach film, Burning Moon. Creep Show, which I've been meaning to upgrade to the Blu-ray of for many years. Now that it has a Scream Factory Blu-ray, I'm definitely going to upgrade eventually. As you can see, there's some more bootlegs, like the complete series of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place, which is a very good British horror comedy series. We got the Lee Hardcastle collection, which is mainly just Lee Hardcastle's short films. If he ever does, if Lee Hardcastle ever does do a release of his collected short films or anything like that, I will actually buy it. But for the time being, I kind of want to have it. You know, some other stuff. House of the Dead. This is a very cool, overlooked 70s anthology film. I'm happy I grabbed the slipcover edition while I had the chance, because, in all honesty, this is one of those movies from Vinegar Syndrome where the cover itself really sold me on it. I was like, man, that cover is really cool. God, okay, I'll just set it down. Kaidan, or Kaidan. This is a nearly 3-hour long. No, this is a 3-hour long. This is a 3-hour long Japanese horror anthology that is absolutely beautiful. Night Train to Terror. Awful, but hilarious. We got Sex Android from Massacre, which Sex Android is pretty interesting. We got Scare Waves from Henrik Kuto. Very entertaining anthology film. The VHS movies. We got some horror comedies now. Dark Side of the Womb. And Dead Hooker in a Trunk. Happy to have that Blu-ray. You know, your usual kind of shit. You know, Heathers, Otis, Student Bodies. Here we basically just got what I like to just call the nuclear horror, and or basically just where I put my trauma films. You know, Class of Nukem High, Return to Nukem High, Toxic Avenger, all of these double packs from Vinegar Syndrome, which this one's a really good one. Frozen Scream is hilarious, and this is a very good one too. This one I haven't had the chance to watch, A Clockwork Blue, but Jekyll and Hyde portfolio is pretty interesting. You know, The Doll Squad, a couple other Severin multi-packs here. Undertaker and His Pals. That's basically it. There's some titles that I've kind of moved. I think I have, some of the titles I have doubles of, I've moved out of the collection and into the other room. But that's really about it. As far as, you know, the collection goes, there's also some VHS tapes scattered about. For instance, there is a VHS tape of The Basement and Splatter Farm. And, you know, Goosebumps, Elves, Cannibal Holocaust 2, Night of the Day of the Dawn, of the Son of the Bride, whatever that one is, and, you know, both Evil Dead movies on VHS. But, you know, and also, you know, When Blackbirds Fly, I think that was Cat in the Brain, Green Room, Ash vs. Evil Dead, The Black Past VHS. That's not even a VHS, that's an empty slip of Zombie Cop. But yeah, I think that's geez, that's about it. Alright, cool. That was a good way to spend some time. Like I said before, I like making these kinds of videos because it just kind of gives me a platform to maybe point out or recommend some interesting titles, or even just talk about movies, because I like talking about movies. It's my thing. I mean, hence why I run a YouTube channel dedicated to it. But I'm really starting to ramble, so I will just stop now. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. This is Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.